So you're going on your next retreat, and you said next week, Tuesday?
Yeah, Tuesday.
That'll
Yeah.
be exciting. All right,
Yeah.
so you want to talk a little bit about like your history and how you want to do that. Tell us how you got to North Carolina, how you got to yoga, and you were in India, and all your interesting facts, and then how I met you. And I'll start by introducing myself and you, and then I have a bunch of questions. I won't hit all of them, but they're just talking points. Okay, I'm gonna have to stop this because welcome back to another episode of Fully Stoked Podcast. I am your host, Sarah Stokes. Cody's not with us. He's my husband. And anyway, this is our Women Entrepreneur series. And I am here with one of my favorite yoga instructors and people, Carole Keefer. Carole and I have known each other for, well, I guess 10 or 15 years. How long have you been in the area?
I'm going on my 11th year here. So
Okay,
yeah,
so
probably
10,
time.
for about 10 years. Yeah, Carole's awesome. First, let me introduce myself. If you've never seen the podcast, I'm Sarah Stokes by day. I'm a senior mortgage loan advisor with Coast to Coast Mortgage and Sarah Stokes Home Loans. But I really enjoy doing this, and this is connecting other people in business and in the community to you, to viewers. Carole's a very dynamic person, so I think you're going to learn a lot from her today. She's done some public speaking for us in the past, and it was such a hit. I had so much positive feedback, and we can't wait to have you again, Carole. So without further ado, welcome, Carole Keefer. You are the founder of Free Spirited Wonder, and what's your handle? Is it FSW Empire?
Yeah, FSW_Empire.
So you got to go follow her too. She's awesome. So it's good to see you, Carole. It's been a while. I guess the last time I saw you was probably, I don't know, maybe 6 months
I think
ago.
the
8 months
event.
ago.
Yeah, probably
Yeah.
the speaking event.
Yeah. So, Carole, tell us first, like how you got into. So, Carole, you do retreats. You're a yoga instructor and one of my favorite teachers that I've ever had. Probably my favorite, but don't tell anybody I said that. And she's just really cool. And you do workshops, you do retreats. I've been on a retreat with you before, but now you're doing like worldwide, international retreats, right? How many do you do a year?
The past 3 years, I've done 7 retreats, and this year I'm doing 4, which feels like it feels good. It's kind of weird only having 4, but it feels like a good number because I can also start implementing some other things I've been wanting to do for a while. But
Wonderful.
yeah.
Wonderful. So, how did you get started in yoga, and how did you get to North Carolina?
Yeah, let's see. I mean, gosh, I actually first found Buddhism in my private Catholic high school. I was introduced to Buddhism my junior year of high school. And just like learning about this philosophy, I basically at the time, I was around 17 years old and learned it as basically a method of slowing down and finding more joy in the moment. And that felt like such a foreign concept to me. I was like, wait, you mean there's people out there that aren't like stressed about what's happening next and aren't living in the future all the time? And, I was an athlete. I went to school. I was like 45 minutes away from my school. Just, normal figuring out your way in high school, all that type of stuff. And learning about this felt so eye-opening to me and kind of just like this idea of like, oh, I can learn how to slow down too. And from that, I learned about yoga. And I first learned yoga as a moving meditation. And, I was always very active, running track, competitive soccer, and kind of thought, like, oh, well, maybe this would be great. I can learn the benefits of meditation while also moving my body and strengthening and then learning about the breathing. So I was introduced to yoga I would say, in high school. And then college was when I really started diving in deeper. In 2014, after college, I went to Nepal I was there for about 2 months and did my first teacher training there. And then I did my 300-hour advanced training in 2018 in India. And I've also done another 200-hour training and another 300-hour training since then in Charlotte. And I've done some immersions with another teacher of mine, Rod Stryker. So I have a really vast, I have a lot of variety of training and over 1,000 hours at this point. And moving to North Carolina in 2015. So that was when I really started teaching more, especially, Vermont's a much smaller area. So classes would be like 2 to 5 people or so, which was great, starting out, and then moving down here and having all these different studios where we'd have like 20 to 30 people in the class was like really exciting to me, especially in like my early 20s. So yeah, we moved here in 2015, and then I was also working for Lululemon at the time. So it was kind of like it was a fun balance of just working at the store at Lululemon. Like it was a great way to meet people at Lululemon and teaching yoga. And yeah, we're still here, almost 11 years later.
That is awesome. And you have grown. I've seen your career just explode. It's just dynamite. And I think it's just because you have a really strong work ethic and you're very intentional from what I can see about doing certain things. And like even when you said you're only going to do 4 retreats this year, which to me would be completely overwhelming, but it feels like that's intentional. You're doing that on purpose, maybe to kind of slow down and focus on something else a little bit. So I feel like you've got it. You whatever it is, that's it. I mean, you're tenacious and intentional and all the good things. How
Definitely
did
learned a
you
lot.
start doing? Yeah, yeah, I'm sure. I mean, all of your yoga teaching too, and probably Buddhism and all of that all works together. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So, how did you get into retreats?
Yeah, so I also studied abroad 3 times in college. So I studied in Spain for 3 months, and then I studied in India for 3 weeks. And I actually finished my college credits in Cambodia. So I like purposely didn't take enough credits my senior year of college so I could actually get my credits in Cambodia. And then from there was when I went to Nepal to do my teacher training. So I think really just this being in like just traveling, right? I've always wanted to see the world. And also meeting new people, and especially meeting people from like literally all over the world. I mean, my teacher training in Nepal, we were literally from across the globe. And just that concept of community also was really, really impactful for me. And that's really what inspired me to do retreats was kind of thinking, okay, I can teach yoga, right? I can do something I love, something that has like truly impacted my life, combine it with travel, of getting to see these amazing places in the world that you might not go by yourself, right? Like I've taken people to Nepal, Peru, Italy, Portugal. We've had women in their 40s that have never traveled by themselves before. And this
Oh,
has been
wow.
like eye opening for them. So I
Yeah.
think really for me, especially at a young age, I mean, my first solo trip was 14 years old to Amsterdam to play soccer and like meeting a group when I was there. So I started this kind of young and it just like the adventure of it was always really excited for me. So the retreats really came from this concept of yoga, travel, and community and like bringing these 3 things together. And they have been it's been what has impacted my life the most and just seeing other people drawn to those experiences too. And lastly, within that, really getting to dive deeper into yoga, really yoga as a way of life, not just this time on our mat. When you come to a studio class for 60 minutes, 75 minutes, it's really hard to teach some of the background and the history and the philosophy and like really how this can impact your life. And I also say without my yoga practice, I wouldn't be here today as an entrepreneur because that really has been my container to like hold me. Like it's how I come back home to myself and understand myself and learn and grow. So being able to combine these spaces has been really amazing for me. And yeah, I guess that it just came from this love of travel, really.
That is awesome. That is awesome. I think some people would look at that and probably be scared, intimidated, like the women in their 40s who've never traveled solo. And to me, it feels overwhelming because it seems like so much work. But I guess if you love it, it's not. It's just, fun as
Yeah,
well.
it's
It's your
definitely a
whole
lot of
life.
work. I mean, we'll say
It
it's
is a
definitely
lot
a
of
lot
work.
of work.
Yeah.
Oh my
Do you
God. I
have an
mean,
assistant?
I do now, yeah.
Yeah.
She's a photographer and like we say retreat coordinator. So I have her on site to help. When I
Yeah.
first started doing these, it was really me. Just, because you're traveling, right? So it's
Yeah.
hospitality also. It's customer
Yeah.
service. You're not just teaching yoga, you're making sure the schedule is flowing properly, that people know where they're going, that they feel good with the schedule, they have enough time to rest. When I first started leading retreats, like even just the 2 night retreats, I was exhausted afterwards, like
Oh, yeah.
absolutely exhausted. And it's
Yeah.
funny too, because people always ask me, they're like, what do you do when you're not leading retreats? And I'm like, I do everything to make the retreats happen. Like, especially when
Yeah.
I was doing 7, I'm like constantly talking with retreat centers. I'm constantly, marketing. It's not easy to get people to join these retreats either. I have a lot of people
Mhm.
that come back again and again, but you're building a lot of trust too, especially people
Right.
that have never met me. Why should they travel with me and spend this money on,
That's
themselves in
good.
this retreat? So I really think about it. And I guess what I'll say with that, a lot of people that do retreats, they do them with their studio. So it's pretty much all people from their studio.
Right. Well, this
And
is
when I
not what
want
you're doing, right?
exactly like when I
Yeah.
wanted to do 7, I was like, well, I can't just pull from my little studio in Huntersville, North Carolina. So I started doing advertising and working with an agency to get a broader reach. So literally, like, I mean, my Tulum retreat, we have women from all over the US. I mean, like in Vermont, I've had people from Bermuda and Aruba and Canada. So it's really cool. And I think that's also really cool is people get to meet people from all over the world. Like I've had like people form like best friendships. Like there's a little group of 3 now that they come on retreats again and they've done other travel with each other.
That's great.
Yeah, I think building trust and the marketing of it. I mean, I'm constantly on my computer and people are so surprised by that. They're like, "You teach yoga." And I'm like, "Yeah, but I'm also the email marketer and the social media manager and I handle the finances and the bookings and all of this." And I do have some help now for sure, which has been great, but it's still, yeah, I mean, it's my baby and like no one's going to care about your business like you do also.
That's exactly right. And that's where I think I'm at that point now of hiring an assistant. I've heard my girlfriends tell me is like, once you think you need an assistant, you probably needed one like a year ago. Like you need it for a long time. I work a lot of hours, but I get it. I can imagine 7 retreats. So how I'd like you said something about building trust. So that really and truly, you have to build trust no matter what you do, right? So I'm out there trying to, do home loans and people have to trust me. So I could take some advice. Like, how do you build trust other than we know you, like the people that actually know you? I trust you. I mean, I go anywhere with you. I think you're fantastic. But if somebody from South Africa wanted to go on one of your retreats, how would you build trust with them?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot to it also. I think overall it's experience, and I think, so I found myself, I do certain retreats like over and over again. So for Tulum, for example, where I'm going next week, this will be our 6th annual retreat. When I get on the phone with people, if they want, if I did discovery calls for a while too, especially like people would kind of joke and they'd be like, "Hi, I just want to make sure you're not a robot and that you're a real person." And I'm like, I totally get that. We're running ads to your Google page and your Facebook and your Instagram, like completely understand. And it was actually nice for me to get to talk to people too, to also see like, oh, you're also a real human being, or to get to learn more about them. So kind of what I noticed too is, of course, like the places I had already been to that I could speak to really powerfully. I think that also built trust with people. So, again, Tulum, we're going back there our 6th time. I know the staff so well. Our schedule is down packed. Like I can speak to the area so well, the transportations, like how to get there, all of those questions I can give you in a second. So, noticing things like that, I think help people versus like our first time to Peru, where I hadn't been before, you could kind of hear a little bit of hesitation. And the people that have come with me on the further trips for the first time have been people that have known me. So it's been interesting to kind of see that too. And then I think website, I mean, I've always done my website from the beginning, but I don't know. I think that that's a great place to start building trust, of just putting whether, it's also like, what's your mission within these retreats? And I also really want to speak to people like, I want you to want to be here. I don't want to try to just like get you to come and then figure out that this wasn't for you because you just wanted vacation with a little bit of yoga. That's not what I offer, and I want to be really upfront with people in the beginning. So I also think the more clear you are on like who you want to work with and what you offer, the more trust you build with these people too, right? That's one thing I had to learn was when you try to talk to everybody, you talk to nobody. So I think starting that trust of like me getting clear on like, who do I want in these spaces, and kind of like, can we find each other? And then, again, just like, I think those discovery calls were really big for the longest time. And then just being willing to answer people on email and Instagram. I'm really active on Instagram too. So I do think I build a presence on there and like sharing what I'm all about in my journey. So I think a lot of it does come back to like authenticity and being genuine, and like people are going to feel that, yeah.
That was one of your big points when you spoke to one of our groups, was the authenticity, and you had a lot of really good things to say, but I think that's something that people also, and this is why, because your authenticity builds trust. And when you can build trust, then people will come to your retreat, or people will choose you to work with doing their home loan, or if you're a realtor, whatever it is that you do for a living. One more thing about the retreat. So what is do you have a theme for each retreat, or is it kind of the same thing? Like, how do you decide what you're going to do? What is your goal?
Yeah, great question. I love this. So each retreat has a theme. So again, Tulum, I keep using this as an example. It's our authentic feminine women's retreat. So this is like a women's empowerment retreat. And, the mornings are yoga and the evenings are empowerment practices. So it's where people will share. We get a little vulnerable. We do different embodiment practices. Maybe it's dancing, different breathing practices, meditations. And I have specific workshops that I do for each of these retreats. So also each of these workshops build on one another too. you. So in yoga, we call it vinyasa krama or wise progression. Like there's a purpose, like you said, there's an intention behind this. Like I'm guiding you to the specific part within yourself. And then our other retreats, for example, like the Smoky Mountains is going to be more on Ayurveda. So this is the sister science of yoga, how to build routines, how to like literally know that we are a part of nature and building these routines that remind us that we are a part of nature. I will say a lot of these retreats too is also specific to the location that we go as well and what the retreat center can offer. Yeah, Vermont is the 8 limbs of yoga. So that's a little bit more about the history of yoga as well. And that's where I do like to share some of this with people so they also kind of know like, hey, this is what you're going to be learning. Like if you want to learn the history of yoga, Tulum won't be great for you. But if you want to feel empowered and take a lot of these practices home and build like an incredible community with other women, like, yes, this one's for you. At one point, I actually had a quiz on my website too. So I would ask people different questions, interact. They do these great quizzes and it would lead them to like, hey, based on your answers, this is the best retreat for you. Based on your location, the amount of dates you want to go, how many times you want to practice yoga. And then like with that too, the last thing I'll add, like I feel like my secret sauce that I figured out a few years ago is workbooks. So every retreat I make these workbooks. When I first started them, they took me months of like putting everything together, but it's also a space for people to journal. And I want them to come back to these practices. Like they have these practices to revisit them like again and again. So my big part of these retreats too is like, I want this to live forward with you. I want you to be able to take something home that you can implement into your life.
I do love that. I'm a former educator, and I did have during the pandemic, we did an Ayurvedic workshop that you ran. Yeah. And we had a workbook, and I loved it because I could take notes and I could go back and reference it. So I really like that you can take something away from your retreats. That's really good advice for anybody who wants to do a retreat. So you talk about feminine leadership and embodiment. And tell me a little bit more. I've heard the word embodiment so many times, but I don't think I really know what it means. When you say you do embodiment practices in the evening in Tulum, what does that mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think the simplest way is it's literally getting you into your body. Yoga is a form of embodiment. So when we think about embodying something, it's like not just knowing this, right? So say courage, right? You want more courage in your life. You want to feel courage. Like it's not just that you're thinking about courage, it's how can you embody courage? How can you be the person right now that is already courageous? So some of it is like embodying these principles. When we say embodiment practices, it could be dancing. And that's a lot of what we do. It's like intuitive dancing, like moving without judgment, without fear. Like, what does your body want to do? Not then like kind of like maybe the scared high schooler who was told that they suck at dancing, or these stories that we've learned at a young age. It's like, let all of that go. And yeah, so I think overall, it's just ways to get you into your body. So you could call yoga asana, like the postures, embodiment.
Okay.
Yeah.
So feminine leadership, what does it look like in business and in life?
Yeah. Let's see, I kind of, thought about this like a few years ago when I first started doing these strategy sessions of moving more into like one-on-one coaching and just thinking about like, okay, what are the principles behind this? Like, what have I learned in my life? What do I want to teach others? A lot of what I came up with, it's like, can you be almost like the boss of your own life? It's like owning your life is kind of how I thought about it. So this leadership, it's not even so much of like leading others, it's leading yourself. And I kind of like to encourage people to walk with me. So there's a part of me of like, by embodying these principles, by living these principles, can I encourage you to walk this path with me? Like, can I encourage you to take leadership of your life? So I think a lot of it starts by like leading yourself. And then, you kind of naturally do lead others if that's what you're looking for, if you are in wellness or yoga or whatever it is, even real estate in some way or another, right? You're guiding other people to a specific thing. So I think overall it starts with like within. And I think it's asking ourselves the hard questions that we don't want to ask, getting like really, really nitty gritty on the parts of us that like might need some work that haven't been addressed or that have been denied over and over, like the things that we don't want to admit that we do that maybe aren't the best parts of us. So I think a lot of it's like a willingness to like really get to know yourself. And yoga is such like an intimate practice. It really is like building a better relationship with yourself. So I kind of think of that feminine leadership too. It's like bringing in again these principles of yoga, what we learn on our mat, like how we get to know ourselves. And a lot of it too, it's through experience. experience. It's through trying, right? I'm sure a lot of people have heard this, but it's like being ready isn't a feeling, it's a decision. And it's like you just have to go for it.
Yeah, like I need an assistant. I just need to go for it. So you just
Yeah.
coach me. So you do one-on-one coaching?
I do, yeah. And I actually just reframed how people can work with me. I like literally just went through all of this and redid it. I have a whole new page on my site that goes over personal coaching. So it's if people are looking for more, again, just like their personal life, whether it's like routine, habits, those are a lot of things we'll talk about. And then for more of the entrepreneurship business side, I started doing business mentorship. So at one point I kind of had it combined, and now I want to separate it because I think that it would be customized to whatever people are wanting, but I've just kind of put them in separate categories.
So
So if
it
people
wouldn't
want
need to be a yoga instructor necessarily.
No, I do have a business of yoga training that I just launched. I'm going to do it online in April, and I've been working on like a whole program to put it out to studios and everything. But it's for people too that if you're just like a wellness leader as well. So if you do want to lead retreats, right? There's a lot of people that do other retreats that aren't just yoga, but here is like the business side of retreats. Like this is everything you probably haven't thought of. I kind of call it from A to Z, and I go like really in depth to it. And I have all of this as like a full program of guiding people through. So again, like they get all of these practices, whether it's like a manual or a workbook or something like that. And then it could also be, I have certain people that just want to learn more about like social media or marketing. So yeah, you don't have to be a yoga teacher. I think that's kind of what I would specialize in because that's what I can speak the most to. But absolutely, if you just want to learn like the retreat, foundation, I could tell you everything about that. Like no
Wow.
problem. Yeah.
So the framework, you said you just worked on that. Do you have like so many weeks that you work with a person, so many months, or is it a flat fee or is it as needed? How does that kind of work?
Yeah, awesome. So I have it starting with an introductory call. So basically, if you go on this Work With Me page, you'll see 4 different ways to work with me. Another one is public speaking or podcast, being a guest on a podcast, or guest teaching at a studio. So basically what I have is a form for each one that people would then fill out. And for the mentorship and coaching, I start with kind of just like a flat introductory call. So it's a 90-minute call for $195. And I'm getting like all of your application, your questionnaire beforehand so I can come prepared. And then we have 90 minutes to talk through all of this. And then I give you a full strategy. And one of the reasons I started this is I have people that ask me to like pick my brain or like ask me to go out to coffee. And they're like, I just want to learn about your journey. And I'm like, well, I can share that and I can give you a strategy to take action on it. And I will say it's kind of funny. Like a lot of people won't get back to me when I say, hey, like, yeah, absolutely, we can work together, but like, I'm going to charge you for it. And this is the reason why. And you're also going to get a lot more out of it because if you're meeting someone for coffee and you just want to pick their brain on it, the truth is you're not going to do anything after because you're going to have zero clarity on what your direction is and what to do this. You're basically going to have a ton of information and not know where to go next. So my whole point with this was let me help you gather all of this information and then let me help you direct you, or basically give you direction and you can choose where you want to go. So say for some people that are self-starters and they might just need like that introductory like direction. That's what I'll do with a strategist every once in a while. I'm like, give me the strategy and I can implement it. Like I'm a self-starter. I'll do this in one day probably. So for people that are like that, or then I customize it depending on, hey, maybe we do 5 more calls. Maybe we do 10 more calls. So I'll do different packages on that and kind of get really clear on what it is. If I think people kind of want the full business part of yoga, I would probably walk them through the entire 20-hour training that I just did, and either do that as a one-on-one or tell them when the next group session is. So I guess to clarify, it starts with an introductory call and then just getting like really clear on like, okay, these are the next steps. And maybe you take it on your own, or maybe we can continue working together and this is what it would look like. So I'd be very clear in the follow-up with it.
I think $195 is very reasonable. So,
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, that's 90 minutes of your time.
Yeah.
I mean, Carole, you're kind of a big deal in my book. I think so. I know you don't think you are, but you are very good at what you do. And
Thank you.
I can speak from experience. Like I loved your yoga classes. I do. I live a little bit far away from Carole now, so I don't go to her yoga classes. And funny story, I actually stopped doing yoga. So, but that's okay because I still respect and adore you. And I think your entrepreneurship is just, I really like how disciplined you are. and I can see that. So I'm gleaning from you. Just, I see your retreat ads and I see everything on social media. And when you come and speak to my groups, and I'm going to try to twist your arm to speak to another group of mine coming up pretty soon. But
Okay, awesome.
yeah, so I can attest that you are quality. You're you know what you're talking about. So
Thank you.
$195 is not bad. I might be giving you a call for that coming up. Oh, there's so much more. So you have this wellness tools for real life and stress management, emotional intelligence. Oh, that is very much like the feminine leadership. You were saying just being willing to, oh, that's good. I think so many people need to brush up on their emotional intelligence, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And what else do you have? You got nervous system regulation, and you can do that with the embodiment and all of
Yeah,
these
I mean, a lot
practices,
of
right?
yoga. Yeah, and I mean, really the breathing, I would say. A lot of breathing is nervous system regulation. I mean, a lot of people don't understand like really the science behind the breath. Like if you can literally breathe in different ways to stimulate a different state within you, right? So if you say you're inhaling for a longer amount of time, we call it a Brahmana effect. It's going to make you feel more enlivened and awake and energetic. If you need more like grounding, calm, and cooling, you would focus on exhaling longer. So it's really interesting that the way you change your breath, and there's all these different practices to help you stimulate these states. So there actually are reasons, so many people think like, oh, I don't want to be in sympathetic nervous system, but there actually are times that you do want to be in sympathetic nervous system. When you're creating a business, there's a little bit of sympathetic nervous system. You need that action, you need the willpower, you need the passion, but we want to do it in a balanced way that then we're not getting, over the top, that then our cortisol levels are out of whack or we can't regulate our state again.
Okay, I'm going to do the call. I'm going to do it. This is so good. Keep talking. Yes, so good. Nervous system regulation is very important. And then you've got two more, I think, resilience and self-trust, alignment between values, all of these. Like, how do you define alignment?
Yeah, I think a lot of this comes from purpose. In yoga, we call this dharma. It's how you do what you do. It's basically like the contribution that you want to give to the world. And I think so many of us, right, we have this like calling inside of us. We have this truth that we know. Like a lot of people are living a life that they know is not theirs, but they're doing it because, and at some point you might have to, right? You might need that stable paycheck that you're getting from a job. You might be in a relationship a little bit longer than you were meant to at a time, right? So a lot of times we live a life that we know is not for us, and we have to find the courage and the discipline and like understand that truth inside of ourselves to make those changes. So it's not even just recognizing the life that we want to live, it's also finding the courage to take the action to do it. It might take you years sometimes, right, to make these decisions, but I think alignment is really coming from like what is your soul saying, and it might be get out of this relationship, and you might not listen because you're scared and you have 1,000 reasons not to, so it's listening to that and then understanding how to take action from that.
So how do you help people reconnect with their inner compass and maybe find that alignment? I know your coaching sessions, right?
Yeah,
Tell me about it. Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think a lot of this is actually what I just put into my business of yoga training. Like we have a whole section on purpose, on dharma. So basically what I kind of do, and I've done this on my Italy retreat too, we go over like the Purusharthas, which are the 4 goals of your soul. So like yoga literally teaches that your every soul has these goals for pleasure, purpose, prosperity, and freedom. So we go over basically what that means, and then all these different practices to help you arrive to the answer. A lot of it is journal prompts and reflection, actually. So a lot of it, and then in order to get to that state that the mind is clear, typically we want to meditate before or do a breathing practice or move our body, because that's just how we're going to be able to. Yeah, it's how your mind gets clear, essentially, right? So there'll be different practices that we go through that help you get to basically like this clarity of thought, and then doing these reflection prompts that help you find the answer. You might not find it within that hour of the workshop, but knowing that it's going to build over time. And then with it too, we kind of encourage people to, whether it's like a writing or a prompt, to do something every day that is then connecting you to that. It could be simple, like Rod Stryker calls it a Dharma code, creating a code that you live your life by. It's what you filter all of your decisions through. When life gets hard and heavy, you remind yourself of this Dharma code. Like you remind yourself of where you're going and why you're doing it. And I think that that's really important too, because I think a lot of people also think, again, I have people that tell me all the time, like, oh, you're living the dream. And I'm like, yeah, I am, but it's hard as hell. Like it is. And people don't understand. Like, I might have been crying in the ball on the couch all day yesterday, but today I can show up and be like, yeah, everything's great. And part of that is just business and life, right? We go through all of that. But I think a lot of it's why am I doing this, right? Like what is going to propel me through those hard times when I want to quit and drop everything? Like I need something that is bigger than that resistance to keep moving me forward. So it's really helping people figure out what that is, whether it's a practice or just a phrase. And a lot of times it can be a phrase, and writing it day after day after day until again, like you're embodying that, like you literally become that.
Oh, so there's so much good information. It sounds like you got all kinds of levels. You can do the 90-minute thing, you can go to workshops, you can have you come and teach a class if you own a yoga studio. You've got all kinds of things that people can access. Oh, you got a lot of wisdom, a lot of knowledge for sure. So that's good. There's choices. So what do you wish that women knew at like 25 and 35, 55? What do you wish you could impart to them?
Yeah. This makes me think about my retreat in Italy this past fall. We had a group of 12 women, ages probably, I would say like around my age. So maybe I'm 34 now. So maybe like 33 at the time to like 55, let's say. And, that is where we were talking about like the Purusharthas and these 4 goals of your soul. And we had a couple women, one woman in particular who hates her job, right? And like really wants to change, but again, like has some of these, there's some pluses to it, of course. So we're kind of going through this and she was like, I was basically just taught that you suck up whatever job you have. Like that's part of life is you don't like your job and you just do it. And we have other people that have kind of been through that and broke through it that were like, no, that does not need to be your reality. Like that does not have to be your life. So I think it's kind of coming back to like, there is no right or wrong way to live a life. Like there really isn't. And that's what I think is so cool on these retreats is you have people, I've had nuclear engineers on retreats. I've had people who grow weed for a living and own, dispensaries. I've had like nurses and doctors and God, I'm trying to think. Bartenders, like realtors, like we've had such an array of people that come on these retreats that are living just all these different lives. And I think it's so cool to like actually think like there's not a right or wrong way to live your life. It really is like what feels true to you. And I think also remembering like it's going to be hard. One of my other favorite things I saw like a couple of years ago or last year was living a life you love is hard. Living a life you hate is hard. Choose your hard. And it's so true.
That's good.
It is so true. And I can tell you from experience, like I love what I get to do and what I've created. There is a lot of BS with it, right? There's a lot of things that I don't get that normal jobs do have, right? So I've had to, I call it, it's sacrifice. It's not settling, but sacrificing. Like there might be some sacrifices, but also in my long-term goals of what I want, like I'm willing to sacrifice some of these things now to, get to hopefully where it is that I do desire to go. So I think it is just coming back to like, it is. I know as lame as it is, it's like following your heart. Like when you hear that calling, like basically it's not going to get quieter. Like when you have this calling, it is only going to get louder until you answer it. So answer it.
Yeah, that's good. All right. Do you have any like funny stories at any of the retreats or anything like just hilarious that you could share with us?
Oh, gosh, like just,
or like a moment you'll never forget, maybe.
I'm trying to think. Probably so many things. My husband, Scott, like 2023, he was kind of like my retreat coordinator. We call him the vibe curator. Like if you meet him, like you literally just feel like good in his presence. Like he will always make you laugh. Like he is not afraid to be himself. And by being himself, he lets so many other people like feel safe to be themselves. I think 2023 was probably the year of like the most like laughter and stories and things like that just because of him. I wish I could think of something. I know there was a game. Yeah, I'm trying to think of like something particular, but I just remember like in Nepal, we had a group of 10 and like Scott and I had been there before. It's one of our favorite places. And I just remember there being so much laughter on that retreat and just like so many funny stories and like late night games. And I think he like spit his wine in one of the participants' faces one night because they were laughing so hard. So I think it would be that. Like, I don't want to say what they said, but they were playing a game and he like was laughing that he spits his wine out in like
Yeah.
one of our good friends' faces and like literally got in her mouth and she starts laughing. And like the walls are so small. And I'm in bed at like 8 o'clock every retreat I lead. Like I
Yeah.
am not the late night person. I'm up early. And I
Yeah.
could literally hear them from like the upstairs. And I get a text from our other friend, like, or I think maybe our group text, and it was like, "Don't worry, Scotty. It's okay what you did. It's okay that you did what you did," or something. And I'm like, what the hell
Going
happened last
on.
night that I missed? Like, do I have to fire my husband? So I think probably that, and then getting the story that, I mean, we literally still laugh about it. Like we play that
That's
game like
awesome.
3 years later and we still tell that story. So I
I
would say
love it.
probably the spitting of the
Yeah.
wine.
So does he go with you on your retreats now? Sometimes, all the
Not
time?
as much anymore. He's been doing his own travel for different like freelance projects. He was working for NASCAR a while, so like I was traveling all across the country and he was traveling all across the US. He does come to Costa Rica every year, or like we do it every other year, and then like Vermont typically. Like Vermont's where we met. That's my home, so it's like very dear to us. And the Costa Rica one we really like. So he doesn't come in them as much anymore, but I think down the road we have a plan to, do that again more. It's definitely like something
Yeah.
like 2023 was a really memorable year for me of just being able to travel with him. I mean, we went to Italy that year, we did Tulum, we did Nepal, we did Vermont, the Smoky
Wow.
Mountains, and being able to have that time together was like really, really special.
That's
So
awesome.
I'm definitely looking forward to having that again one day with kids also is our goal down the road. So
Oh, that's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah,
Well, tell
yeah.
us about any upcoming retreats that you have that or still have spots. Obviously, you're leaving on, I think, next week. So
Yeah,
that you can
yeah.
go to that one. That one's going to Tulum.
Yeah, Tulum. Yeah, so every we do Tulum every February and it's around like Valentine's Day. So like
Okay.
Valentine's Day, which is also fun for
Oh,
like the
yeah.
women's empowerment.
Yeah.
So I will be opening up 2027 like the end of February. So I open that one up pretty quickly. Like I open it for a few days and then I close it and then I open it and I close it. So I do
Okay.
have a list that's on my website that people can join to get access to that for next year. So for this year still, I have the Smoky Mountains. This will be our eighth year going back there. So that's a 3-night retreat from June 4th to the 7th. So that's great too if you have like kids or can't get away as long or want somewhere that you can drive or that's not out of the country. It's been just a favorite amongst participants. And then I
Is
have a
that in
long gap.
Tennessee?
What's that?
Is that one in Tennessee?
Yeah, in Tennessee. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where you came, right?
That's where I
Yeah.
went
Okay, that's what I
with the
thought. Yeah.
yurts.
Yes,
Is
the
it the
yurt.
same place? Oh, that place is great. Yeah.
It is. It's like it's definitely great. It's like if you want to disconnect to reconnect, like that is the place to do it. Like if you, really don't want to be on your phone, it's great. And then Costa Rica is November 7th to the 14th. So I only have 4 rooms left for that one, but we've been going there every other year. It's definitely one of my top favorite places. It's a 7-night retreat. The views are spectacular. The food is probably the best food I've had of anywhere that we've gone on a retreat. The staff has been there for over 10 years and they really feel like family and like just the way they work with each other, so like you feel like you're part of a family the whole time that you're there. The accommodations are like, it's incredible place. And then the last one I have is in Vermont. It's in December. So it's the 10th to the 13th. So it is kind of a winter retreat. I feel like a lot of my North Carolinians are like, no. But we had a great group last year. It's definitely like a winter wonderland. And for me, I kind of put it as like a nice holiday reset. So it's between Thanksgiving and Christmas. Like, and I had a lot of people that were like, I needed this so much to like return
Okay.
to myself, like, especially as moms that do 1,000 things for the holidays. Like, they just found that time to be really special for themselves. So, yeah, I have that. And then definitely that work with me is what I'm, offering that like in between all the retreats that I have. And then the business of yoga. So if you are a yoga teacher listening and you want to learn more about the business of yoga, I have the first online training opening up in April. So it's application only. We'll just take a group of 10. And then aside from that, if you're a studio, that's also something I'm looking to do is to come to studios to share it with their students or teachers as well.
That's great.
Yeah.
And how can they get in touch with you? What's your website?
Yeah, it's Free Spirited Wanderer. And then from there, it's pretty easy to navigate everything. You'll see a retreats page that lists out all the retreats that I have and a little bit more about them. And then you'll see that work with me page that will go to the coaching and the mentorship. And then you'll also see that business of yoga training on there as well. And then aside from that, I have a blog. That's like one of my ways. I had a podcast for a while. I've paused it for a little bit, but that blog is, I love to write. So that's one of the ways I really like to share and connect
That's
with people
awesome.
right now too.
That's wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to just share with everyone that you're featured in USA Today, Women's World, LA Weekly, Destination Deluxe. what is the show you were on, Charlotte, the
Easy
morning
life. Yeah.
Fantasy Live? Like you've done a lot. So I just recommend everybody follow her on social media. I'll have all of the information in the summary below. You can connect with Carole, and she's one of my very favorites. I just adore you, Carole. Thank you so much for being here today. And I will be reaching out to you again on some other opportunities to speak. Okay.
And thank you so much for having me, Sarah. And thank you for everyone listening. It was great to be here today.
Thank you. Talk to you later.